Hello everyone, Storm 11 here. Today we'll be tracking a potential major winter storm that could happen across portions of the upper Midwest. Well, not the upper Midwest, the Midwest, even getting into portions of the Ohio Valley. There's going to be one system coming down this way, and then another low will develop somewhere around along the east coast here that may bring a decent amount of snow. Could be some major winter storm potential across some of the northeastern states there as well. We'll be talking about both of those things, so let's go on ahead and get started with the European model. We're also going to check the timing with this. So our first low is going to be coming off the Rocky. It's a pretty decently strong low, 995 millibars with that low right there. There could be the possibility for some severe weather potentially across portions of Oklahoma and Texas, but we'll see about that. There may be a chance. But then as we kind of get into Monday evening here, you can see here a band of pretty heavy snow across central and Indiana, eventually getting into northern Illinois, central and eastern Iowa, even across, eventually we'll get into several Wisconsin. Pretty good a band of snow there, for sure. And then as we kind of continue on throughout Sunday night, you can see here heavy snow, really from portions of Ohio. It's barely going to get Cincinnati. I know those folks up there in Cincinnati hasn't really got much of any good snows this winter, so hopefully this one here may be your chance. The European model says you may get a decent amount of snow off of this, but unfortunately, it looks like you guys would transition over to rain. So that's the bad news about this. Some of these folks here will likely see a period of heavy snow, but it's going to transition over to rain. And you can see what's going to happen here. So your low is dying down. So your low is going to be tracking to the southeast. It's dying down. Eventually, a new low is going to be developing somewhere right here. What's going to happen here is it's going to transfer its energy to the new low that's going to be developing somewhere around the Carolinas, and eventually it's going to go off the east coast. That could bring in quite a bit of snow. And you can see here it shows some times heavy snow across western Virginia, even across the mountains of Virginia, up into Ohio. Then you can see here comes your new low that started to develop right in here. 1004 millibar low. Got a pretty decent amount of snow going on across Pennsylvania and Ohio, and even Maryland and New Jersey. And as we continue on, so this is now getting into early Monday morning. So your low is now just off the coast of Delaware and Maryland. You got a pretty good swath of snow, really. Pretty big snow shield. I mean, it goes from the New York and Pennsylvania state line all the way down to Alabama, Tennessee state line. So it's quite a large snow shield here. Meanwhile, your other low is still right here, which is still going to be dying down. And it kind of sits there for a little bit and then starts to intensify. Eventually, it's going to start to move off to the north. And it should get out of here or in sometime by Thursday. Then we're going to watch for this system here. This is really catching my attention here, which we'll probably talk about that maybe later in this video, hopefully if I can remember about that. So let's take a look at the GFS model here. You can see here uh, that is Monday evening. So your looks like compared to the European model, I think that's a little bit further south here. It's also, I believe that's a little slower. You can see here a band of heavy snow, really anywhere from northern Kentucky, southwestern Ohio, up across central Indiana, into northern Illinois here. Which I know places in Chicago got quite a bit of snow on their last winter storm. It looks like they may get another pretty good hit of snow. That's good for them guys there. And then it's a little bit further north than the European Mall track. You can see it then starts to die down when it's over Illinois. Got a pretty decent swath of light to moderate snow, even extending all the way up into Minnesota. That's a pretty good swath of snow. Eventually, your new low is going to start to develop here and go off the coast here. Pretty good wave of snow across western Virginia there. And as we continue on, you can see with that heavy snow, actually goes through Washington, D.C. How about that? Hopefully, people in Washington, D.C. Um, I know you guys have not really seen a big snow in a long, long time. Hopefully, this storm may give you guys some love and give you quite a bit of snow. I'll be happy for you guys to get a taste of that snow because you guys have been a snow hole for a long time. But the GFS says it's going to transition over to rain, unfortunately. Then it's going to start deepening. It just sits there for a while. Eventually, it slowly moves off to the northeast, and here comes your new low right here, which this is going to be a pretty strong low. And eventually, it's going to come up to the upper Midwest there, which we'll talk about that probably in a moment. So let's take a look at some of these snowfall totals. So this is the GFS Somos made out of 20 members. Areas in the purple, that's 6+ inches of snow, which does have places like Toledo, uh, Chicago, Kenosha. I cannot remember if that's Great Bend or not. That may be somewhere else. Hopefully I'm right. But places like Toledo, Chicago, some of those places could see a decent amount of snow, and that's indicated by the GFS Somos. And here's another area, 6+ inches of snow, really for the mountains of West Virginia, getting to a decent chunk of Pennsylvania, and even central and western Maryland, eventually getting up into northern New Jersey around New York City. And then another area starts to show up right around Boston, Massachusetts there as well. Let's take a look to some other models. So we're going to go start from the upper Midwest with this. You can see here areas, if you're going to be in the pink, that's 6+ inches. If you're in the red, that's over a foot of snow there. And you can see here, it's a pretty snowy look for sure. But unfortunately, some of these regions, likely on the southern end of some of these higher snowfall totals, it's going to transition over rain. So some of this snowfall is not going to last for that long, at least on the ground, because it'll transition over to a period of light rain. So that's the bad news. But if you're a little bit more centralized in the farther north, there's a lesser chance that you're going to get rain out of this. And that's where we're going to have some of the highest uncertainty is right across some of these regions here. It's going to be a pretty close call for some of these regions, but we're going to see about that. Around Chicago, about 10 inches of snow. Toledo, about 8 inches. Even around Cleveland, 8 inches of snow. Columbus, Ohio, wow, over a foot. That could be a little bit overdone, but we'll see about that. And as we move to a different view, now here we are in the Mid-Atlantic region. Shows even better snowfall totals across portions of West Virginia and Maryland. Showing some places in southeastern Pennsylvania make it up to 18 inches of snow. That's quite a bit. And then up across eastern Massachusetts around Boston, a foot plus of snow. It's quite a bit of snow showing up from the European model. And for some of these folks over in here, there is going to be some wraparound snow with this. You're not going to be completely out with the snow here, just to keep in mind. Like folks down in Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, and Illinois, there's going to be some wraparound snow from this low that's going to be dying down. That's going to bring us some northwest snows across these regions here. So you guys could probably see some lighter accumulations there. And let's move on to the GFS. Lower amounts with this, but this is in a different measurement. The last one we're looking at is the 10-to-1 ratio. This is a little bit more accurate ratio to use, the Cajera ratio. This is just a different measurement of snow. You can see here it's farther to the north. It's also got lesser amounts of what the European model is showing. Along the east coast of Wisconsin and northeastern Illinois, you got some spots picking up over 7 inches of snow. Pretty good amount of snow across southern Wisconsin, even up across southern Michigan, northern Indiana, and eventually get into northern Ohio. But then again, kind of on the severed fringe of this, there's a pretty good chance a lot of you guys here will transition over to rain. So if you guys want a lot of snow, if you want to play in snow, you may have to do it quick. You cannot really wait for it because it's going to transition over to rain and it's going to melt all of it away. But the good news is there's going to be more snow. Eventually that rain is going to transition over back to snow. But the bad news is it's not going to be as much. So just to keep in mind of that. And then as we move on to the Mid-Atlantic region, it's got some of the higher snowfall totals more across the mountains of West Virginia and Virginia, even into portions of central Maryland and southern Pennsylvania. It's got a pretty good hit of snow across the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee and even North Carolina. And it's just kind of a mess up here. It's probably going to be more of just a swath, so probably about 5 to 8 inches of snow seems like a possibility across those regions. And that'd be something we'll be keeping an eye on here. But again, some things could change here. So overall with this, there's going to be a pretty good hit of snow across. Let me get a different color out because I know some of you guys probably cannot see it that well. My apologies. So moving back here. So areas I want to circle in here. Going to have to watch for the potential for some decently high snowfall amounts. Where some of these areas may be able to get close to 8 inches. That's a possibility. And then areas right in here, pretty much kind of like along the Interstate 95 corridor in west. These will be the regions here to watch for any heavy snowfall accumulations, and even further inland as well. Those going to be some more areas to watch. So, but then again, some things could change here, but we're going to see about that. So let's kind of go backtrack here. Let's actually go to this system really quick because this is really catching my attention right now. So we're going to have a pretty strong low coming off from Colorado. Got 985 millibar low. It's going to start to slowly deepen, eventually get into the upper Midwest here. This may have a potential to put down some near blizzard conditions here. It could cause a lot of problems. Your snow shield is about as far south as Kansas, all the way up into the Canadian border. So it's quite a pretty good snow swath. Plus, you got these isobars very close to each other, which means windy conditions. Seems like a pretty good possibility. So there could be a chance for near blizzard conditions, but we don't really want to get too much in detail with this. I mean, we're talking about Thursday into Friday of next week, so this is far out. But what's been interesting about this is how the model's been very consistent. There was a few points where the European model and the GFS model were agreeing to each other. So that's pretty crazy to think about. And that was a few days ago, and we still have a pretty good agreement with this, where we're going to have a strong low somewhere in the Midwest, bringing in potentially some near blizzard conditions. And as we get into the warm sector, we're going to watch for this area right in here for high wind potential, where you have these isobars very close to each other, which the European model, which I've looked into a different side, does have some of these areas having widespread wind gusts 40 to 50 miles an hour, with some areas reaching near 60 miles an hour. But as we continue on here, it deepens even further, 978 millibar low. You've got so your warm front is going to be probably like somewhere right in here. So your warm front's going to be right here, probably more like right here. Your occluded front will be probably about right in here. And then your cold front, which is going to be a pretty strong cold front, goes way down here. And you can see there along that cold front, got some thunderstorm action going on here, which those may have a chance to be severe. And that's the thing we got to pay attention to, is some of those storms there that could produce some damaging winds, especially where in some of the upper parts in the atmosphere here, where there's a lot, and I mean a lot of wind energy to work with up there, and also the vorticity numbers are pretty high, so the dynamics are there for some severe weather. However, there is going to be some lower dew point numbers and CAPE numbers. However, with the dynamics like that, it's not going to take much CAPE or dew points to get some severe storms going. So this will be something to watch closely here, but again, this can also change as well, all this all together. Now, if we were to look into the GFS model here, which has been going back and forth with this, so you get a strong low that goes over Iowa here, eventually getting into Wisconsin. Here's your cold front right here. Definitely quite different here. We actually gotta have a low that develops here. Which, keep in mind, the GFS model's been going back and forth a lot with this. On just in the last run, it was very similar to what the European model is showing. But now the GFS is back to where a low could develop somewhere along this front here. And there may be a chance for some snow on the back side. And I'll let this play here. So your main load's up here, but your other load may be somewhere right in here, going over the Appalachian Mountains. Now, I won't buy this just yet, since the GFS has been going back and forth with this. And so far, the European model's been pretty consistent with this solution here. Just a cold front that passes through, pretty much. So right now, I'm kind of buying a little bit more into the European model as of right now. But then again, this will change around a lot more. But this is going to be something we got to watch pretty closely here because it can definitely bring some issues out there. But anyways, guys, that's all for you guys today. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you guys like this video, hit that like button. If you really do like my channel, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell notification so you never miss an upload. If you guys got questions about this, put a comment section down below. I'll answer you guys' questions. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.